get emotional about it, but yeah, I guess it's these type of things that make the journey worthwhile. But all I can say is giving up is not an option, and when you can still get these awards, it means you're doing something right. Hi, my name is Zanele Mathe, but a lot of people know me as Zanele, and today I'm going to take you through my journey that has been traveled with a lot of wisdom. And hopefully, my story can motivate you and encourage you that whatever you're going through, you'll come out of it even stronger than going through the dark times. So, growing up, I grew up in a family raised by a single mother. And it's very funny how God works in your life. But there was one day, there was a spa that I used to stay at. And a spa is like a grocery store that I used to go to and greet all the guys by the bakery and things like that. And there was this one gentleman that used to work for a South African broadcaster whom I used to just talk to. And one day he asked me, he's like, now that you finished with matric, what do you want to do? So I said, I don't know what I want to do, but I definitely don't want to do an ordinary job. I just feel like I'm destined for something big. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's going to happen, but all I know is that's what I need to do. So the guy said, look, I know a lady at the SABC. Go speak to her and just tell her that you just came out of school. You're looking for work experience and then see what she says. So I did exactly that. I went to the SABC, asked to speak to this particular lady. And when they called her to say there's a young lady by the name of Monica that's at reception that wants to speak to you, she said, I don't know anybody by the name of Monica. I don't have time. I'm in meetings. So I just sat at reception and I made it a point that that week, every single day, I would come to SABC reception trying to just see this lady. All I knew was I just wanted her to see me, and the rest is history. So eventually, as the week went by, she noticed that, wait, man, this girl, she's been coming in the whole week wanting to see me. So I went to see her and I said, look, my name is Monica. I know nothing about sport or what you guys do in this building, but all I know is I want to learn. That's all I want to do. You don't have to pay me. I'll come here every day and I want to learn what you guys are doing. So the lady gave me a chance. We started working on contracts, filing. But while I was still doing that, there was one lady as well within SABC that took me under her wing, that helped me and taught me about sport broadcasting, but from a radio point of view, not so much on a production or broadcasting side. And this lady was just amazing. She treated me like I was her daughter. Did everything with her. I think that was the first time that I traveled. It was the first time that I experienced something as a hotel. And the journey was just amazing. But while that was happening, the lady that gave me an opportunity to actually work at SABC, because as months progressed and they saw the potential in me, I was offered a contract. She left to go to Supersport. So when she left to go to Supersport, a couple of months later, she was like, look, there's an internship at Supersport. I'm not making any promises that you'll get it, but come for an interview and see how it'll go. So I did that. I went for an interview, and the interview went very well. And before you knew it, I got the job as an internship. And I think that's when my career started, and that's when everything started to just take shape. Where I went through a rigorous internship program where we were taught about the administration side of things, but also outside broadcast and just sport in 360. What happens in studios, what happens in outside broadcast, and how basically a whole production comes together. And I think that's when I fell in love with sports in particular. And it was quite strange for me in terms of my journey because, yes, at school, I was a very sporty person. I mean, I did running, athletics, I did drama, but there was no point where I would sit down and say, I want to work in sports or in production or in television or things like that. In fact, I wanted to be a doctor. But because of finances, I couldn't extend my education. So the route or the path that my career took shape in, I know God was just the main driver behind everything. But another thing that made this whole process surreal and the opportunities that were afforded to me is it wasn't easy being raised by a single mother because she also tried to do the best that she could. I mean, the amount of tragedies that have happened in my life, I know a lot of people would have probably given up. At the age of 21, I got my first car, which we were hijacked in. My mother was held at gunpoint. Luckily for us, she didn't get hurt. They took the car. And the place that I'd bought the property in, unfortunately, was a place that had high crime. So I also had made a big investment in the property that I bought in the area. That at some point, because of the break-ins and being the only woman staying in this house, because my mom was still working, I had to sell the house just for my safety so that I can move out of that environment. Sold the house, moved in into a new place, which I was renting. So back to renting when you owned a property. Then while that journey was going, I got my second car. And on our way back home, because originally my mom is from KZN in a town called Newcastle, we were involved in a car accident and my car was written off. And I still to this day don't know how we made it out alive in 2008, but I think that accident is an accident that shaped the decisions that I've made so forth, because I believe that there was a reason why we were saved in 2018. If you look at the images of the car that we survived in, you would think that everybody would have died in that car, but none of us did. I mean, it was myself, my mother, and my brother, but we all came out unscarred. So that when past had to deal with that trauma, was afraid to drive for a couple of months, but had to work my way through the anxiety and the challenges of driving, went back into driving, got the courage to get a second property, got the second property, it was celebrations all around, only to find that in the property that I had bought in a complex, funds were mismanaged. So when the funds were being mismanaged, it means levies rates went higher. This side you've got a bond, you've got insurance, and before you know it, what you could afford, you can't afford. And now you're forced to do what? Now you must let go of the property so that you can start living again and not be in debt. So that's another second loss in trying to do something for yourself in your life. But that's a decision that I had to make, because there's no point in being in debt or being stuck in something that you can't afford. So moved out, went back into renting. Um, but in terms of the career, things went very, very well. So I think super sport was the pinnacle point in my career, where that's where I got the true process of internship, where I was given probably one of the best practicals that any human being can ever be afforded, where you start from scratch and you work your way up. And that's when I realized that if you work hard and you push yourself, there's always somebody watching. You don't have to worry about the money and how much you make and the things that you don't have, even though you're around people that already have the things that you want. But if you focus on your own journey and your own career, things will eventually come together. And I remember 2011, it was my first trip out of the country to New Zealand to do the Rugby World Cup in 2011. And I think on the final day of that match, I literally stood at the stadium when South Africa was playing the All Blacks. And I cried because I just couldn't believe that a person with my background was the one that was there witnessing all of this, being part of such a spectacular tournament. And then that's why I'm a firm believer that in everything that you go through, in every struggles that you go through, and you come out stronger, there's a reason. There's a reason why God saved me in 2008 and we didn't die in that car accident. And that's been my main driver in my career. Then in 2016, went to London for the Rugby World Cup again, which was just an amazing, amazing, amazing experience. And I will forever be indebted to Supersport, because they have shaped me to be the person that I am, the work ethic that I have, the drive that I have right now, the professionalism. And a lot of people that I've worked with or crossed paths with in my life, some of them might feel like I overdo things, or maybe I go too much above Call of Duty, but those are the main drivers. I mean, if you're spared life, you need to make the best out of it, because you don't know when all of that will be taken away from you. And I think 2020, COVID taught us that, because after Supersport, I took an opportunity in 2016 to Square Sports, which was a new broadcaster that was supposed to be competing with other broadcasters. So for me, I saw that as an opportunity for growth, not because I wasn't happy at Supersport, because a lot of people would say, but why would you leave such a well-established company that had all the benefits in your career was fine and everything, but when you're constantly on the hustle to be better and to know better about the space that you're in, you make such decisions. And today, I wouldn't change my decision. I would still make the decision to go to Gwese, even though in the end it didn't work out to the way we'd wanted to because we were retrenched after 3 years. But the amount of things that we learned at Kwese was a game changer. I mean, Kwese gave us an opportunity to learn what the pay television industry or business, how it works, you know, where you start and how you put it together. I was part of a team that was building studios. You know, I was part of the team that went to ESPN to see how they do their productions. And that was just a surreal moment. And again, I keep saying, I still couldn't believe that somebody that comes from a background of my nature could be afforded such opportunities. And those are the things that keep you going and drive you to say anything is possible. And it doesn't matter where you come from or how you were raised, whether you were raised in a good or a bad home, that it's up to you to change the narrative and what you want for your life. You don't have to live the life that your surroundings have accustomed you to, you know. So Kwese was really quite an amazing journey. Unfortunately, 2019, we got retrenched. And 2020, man, was a hard year. It was really, really tough. And being someone who's so used to the small celebrations and then losses come through again, went through the losses of cars being taken away because I wasn't working, struggling to find employment, COVID. And also, I used to hear about people having anxiety and depression. All of a sudden, I also had anxiety, even though at the time I didn't know what it was. And that was also just another personal, very, very emotional journey where anything that went wrong, where you get to a point where you're just numb. You don't know if there's actually a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, you're trying to knock on doors are closed, people want rent. You've got a family that you need to look after because I look after my mom, and also health wise, she's not in the best health. So all of those pressures teach you to be strong. And I won't lie and sit here and lie and say it was easy. It was probably the toughest moment of my life. And just when I thought I'd experienced all the bad things that I could, but 2020 was the worst one, where you're driving or you're sleeping and then you just feel like your heart is going to stop because of the anxiousness and the anxiety of not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. And that's when I feel like I can say that physical activity, exercising, and Mamelodi Sundowns really saved my life, because they came at a time when I was really, really ready to give up, because I didn't know anymore. I mean, I would get small freelance jobs there and there, but they just didn't amount to what I was accustomed to. And also, it taught me that in life it's just a journey where you need to adapt and you need to appreciate certain things that happen and savor and live in the moment, because you never know when it'll be taken away from you. And there's a lot of people that walk around as if they're untouchable, or that where they are will forever be. And maybe that's why we have such a high rate of depression. Production, and most importantly, the sports world, we all know that it's a very male dominated environment. But I think what keeps me grounded, and I always say that if you are confident in your skills and the work that you do, in most cases, you shouldn't feel intimidated or feel like you're not supposed to be there. Or if you're in a room that's full of males and you're only women, own the space. But owning the space doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive or feel like you need to be part of the male figures. Be confident enough in your own craft that when it's your turn to be asked about what your skills and capabilities are, you can stand firm and own the room. And I think for me, it's taken a lot of years to get to that point, and it is work to get to the position where you feel confident in the room, that you don't have to prove or fight that you're a woman and you deserve a seat in the table. So the only advice for me that I would give to other women that are still upcoming in the industry is it takes time and it's a lot of work. And unfortunately, we're breaking into industries where work does need to speak for yourself. I mean, there's a saying in one of Robin Sharma's books that says, work so hard in your life that you never have to introduce yourself when you walk into a room. And that's pretty much what it's all about. It's never about you having to act tough or you having to show your weaknesses. You have to be yourself. I remember when I first started at Sundowns and we were introduced, as a team to a group of players, and we're in a circle. And Coach Steve asked me and he said, "Oh my goodness, you're the only woman around all these males. Are you not intimidated?" I said, "No, in fact, I'm excited, because I'm confident and I know I can do what I've been hired to do. So I don't need to do extracurricular activities or have to prove a point to somebody by being assertive or aggressive for anybody to see what my capabilities are. My work and my craft will speak for myself." So I didn't tell you what I do or what my job entails. So I'm a production manager for Mamelodi Sundowns. I head up a team of creatives, and we do anything and anything that is content related for the different social media pages. So if you go to the Mamelodi Sundowns social media pages, all the videos that you see there, that's our department, and the great creatives that I have the pleasure of managing and working with. And yeah, so a very special, surprising award took place last year. We had the staff awards or prize giving, and I received the Manager of the Year award, which I did not expect. I didn't know how to celebrate that, especially because of everything else that I'd been through, and also just only being with the company for a year was it was a very emotional time for me, actually, receiving that award. And as I've said in this whole interview, hard work and dedication is what will get you far, and commitment, and also just the belief that somebody is always watching. And I guess I needed that award to remind me why I'm still alive and why I need to push and why I need to continue being the professional human being that I am, and also just giving everybody an opportunity to be great, because somebody gave me an opportunity without having any experience and not knowing anything about the environment. So it's a very special award for me, and it's the first time that I'm actually telling my story, because not a lot of people that don't know me personally know what I've been through. So and I'm just trying even now not to get emotional about it. But yeah, I guess it's these type of things that make the journey worthwhile. But all I can say is giving up is not an option, and when you can still get these awards, it means you're doing something right. And we keep going, and hopefully I can come back one day and I would have won another award, I've done something special that would change the world or anything. So in closing, I just want to say to you that wants to give up, don't do it. Don't do it. There's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel.